Violence serves no purpose. I have a very special guest, Brother Dawoud. For those who are listening to us by way of television, WZBN Channel 25, WIMG 1300am.com on the internet, and WIMG 1300 on the AM dial. As I said, I'm John Harmon. I'm pitch hitting for Tracy Syphax. I'm President and CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce, and we have a longtime Trentonian in our studio tonight who's going to talk to us about a program that's really going to get to the heart of building some foundation, a better foundation for our youth in the future. Brother Dawoud.
Give thanks, big brother. Give thanks. It's a pleasure. Thank you for the offering here.
Yes.
Good to see you again.
My pleasure.
You know, send the greetings to Big Brother Tracy, man. I respect you brothers a lot. You are an inspiration. I don't care what nobody say. You said President and CEO.
That's it.
That's inspiring, brother. You know, seeing a face that looks like mine saying President and CEO locally. That's inspiring, and that's what gives me the energy to do what I do.
Well, good. Let me just lay a little foundation for what we're going to talk about tonight. We're both from North Trenton.
That's right.
You know, and I saw some clips of you from North Trenton Little League. I struck out on a few pitches there as well. But if you would just tell the listeners a little bit about your upbringing here in the city, and you know, what have you been up to the past few months? We'll kind of then transition into what you're really here to talk about this evening.
Okay. First and foremost, born and raised, I believe I was living on Sheridan Avenue. Okay. I was born in St. Francis, 1972. I just turned 38. You know, though I don't look it. I eat to live, not to die. But Downey Homes, that's my meat right there. Catholic school kid, but living in a Baptist household, mom and dad. I was one of the fortunate ones of all my friends to have mom and dad in the household. In the projects. There was a time when you know, I was breaking out of that the immaturity as a young man. 13, 14, 15 years old. I lost my father at a young age. I was 16, turning 17. I'm the baby of 4. So I had to take the man role. My mom was still going to work. But there was something that was going on in the street. Some brothers used to call themselves the gods, the 5%ers.
I remember that.
That was attractive to me because I didn't have knowledge of who I was. I didn't have a real, any real vision or direction in myself. So a lot of what those brothers was talking about to me sounded, you know, powerful. And I attracted to that. That's where I get the name Divine from. And I realized that everything I was learning from a conscious perspective had to be plugged into what was going on and wasn't going on in the street. So I started just being active, hosting a car wash to raise some money to take some young boys to the farm or whatever. And I just stayed on it, man, since I've been 17, 18 years old. And here I am now, 20 years later, still active, stronger, mature, a little bit more experienced, and I'm still doing it, big brother. You know, and I watched some of the downfalls in Trenton when it comes to politics. Right. You know, I watched it to the point of it's something I can learn from.
Well, I tell you, I mean, I watch you over the years, and you have matured in a number of ways.
Yes, sir.
In the campaign you ran, and I say this respectfully, I thought you did a very impressive job.
Give thanks.
You know, and I often say, just because you lose, doesn't mean you didn't win.
That's right.
And I think the impact that you made on this city and in the North Ward in particular will never be forgotten.
That's right.
And you said you were the baby of 4, or I was the number 6 of 7. So I can relate to that as well. But tonight, you know, we'll talk a little bit about what has transpired since the summer, and then we'll talk about, clearly your upbringing has a lot to do with this initiative that you want to launch in the city.
No doubt. Well, first and foremost, man, we have to inspire a new generation. It's simple. From a cultural perspective, is one thing that I think we as black folks, African Americans, lack in our situations. You know, from city to city I go to, you rarely find a uncle who's involved in politics or who's involved in anything that's trying to bring his son up or his daughter up to continue that legacy. Yeah. You know, I've watched that a long time, man, and it's sad because we get to the point where we scrambling to get leadership or to find leadership, and all we could have did was mentor our son, mentor our daughter, or mentor the next door neighbor's son, and he could be that next mayor, you know, that next legislator, you know, or just the next store owner. Right. It's simple stuff, man, but I think a lot of us forget that culture has to be first. I'll never forget that. That's why, you know, me still being a member, active member of the New Black Panther Party, I'm actually the National Youth Minister. We stress culture through the roof, because if you don't have culture, you don't have no real direction, you don't have no framework. How you going to map things out for yourself, for your family, your community, your nation. That has to be the framework that we're moving with, man. And I have to, you know, give the city, you know, a little shout out, because this is our 10th year. New Black Panther Party will be raising the red, black, and green flag at City Hall in honor of Black History Month. They gave us a week when we first did it in 2001. Right. Now we, you know, we push to get this month, and we want it to be raised up all year round. Gotcha. Not just because the Black Panthers. We want it because Black folks, we need some frame of references outside of, you know, the war thing they talk about down there at the old barracks, you know, the Revolutionary War. We need other frames of reference, and that flag represents that. Well,
you mentioned something here, and you talk about it here in the document, culture. When I grew up on Sanford Street, we had a Black Culture Center right on Brunswick Avenue. Yes. And opposite the Culture Center, it was an Exxon gas station. Back then it was called Esso gas station. Okay. But Mr. Bethea, now I forget his name, now he's an African name now, but he ran that center. I had the privilege of running into him the other day. But you also talked about how you did car washes and you did things to raise money, very similar to what Mary McLeod Bethune did with the young kids. That's right. So if we don't have a frame of reference from where we've come from, and notwithstanding our tumultuous beginnings, we still have a spirit of excellence. Yes. So I'll throw it back to you.
Yes, yes, no doubt. And I'm glad that you went right in the direction that I was hoping that you did. You know, you mentioned the names of those who came before us. I would not be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for people like Mary McLeod Bethune. If it wasn't for the mighty God, Paul Robeson. Absolutely. If it wasn't for Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Huey P. Newton, Malcolm, and we just celebrated Dr. King's birthday Saturday. Those men and women, you know, they mean something to the way Divine walks and talks and breathes, man. They mean something. They're just not names that I want to celebrate certain times of the year. Those, you know, that cosmic DNA is in me. Yeah. And I want to continue where they left off at. Dr. King, Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, they were young men. Dr. King murdered, you know, 39 years old. I'll be 39 this year. Wow. So, you know, we have a chance to continue. And those men were creating legacy while they were alive. Absolutely. And we have to get past what people may think of me because of my stance sometimes. You know, I'm strong. I'm active. I don't hurt anybody. Right. You know, I can be doing anything at my age, brother. Right. But I want to make sure these young brothers and young sisters have real inspiration, you know, real connectedness to people who are sincere about making sure that their future is brighter than it looks. Because it don't look too good for a lot of us, man. Serious. It doesn't look too good.
No, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the last 3 decades of steady decline, our educational system, our economic base in the community. We did a luncheon last week. And so we have another one coming up in March. But the message was, when I grew up in Trenton, we had equity in the economy. And today, you know, we're patrons. We're underwriting the existence of a lot of individuals with no reciprocity. That equation is a disastrous formula. You can't sustain yourselves if every time you need something, you got to get it from someone else. So, you know, this program that you're talking about, Capital City Youth Development Council, is foundational. We talked about the historical reference, how just mentioning some of the names of the people you articulated is inspiring. You know, and if a kid is in a situation where they make a decision, and if their mind goes to a Malcolm, or if their mind goes to a Medgar Evers, if their mind goes to, you know, Stokely Carmichael, the probability of them getting themselves in a situation where the consequences are severe,
yes,
they probably won't do it.
That's
so
right.
it's important.
That's right. And we have to forge it, man. Our theme is motivating and preparing future leaders, but the backdrop of that is knowledge of self to better yourself. A lot of people I know are conscious,
right,
but they don't have that extra oomph, which
right,
is knowledge of self.
Right.
We got information all over the place, but knowledge of self gives you that extra, it's like an extra edge you have, because now you can connect the dots to, okay, I'm not just a religious person. I can connect the religious dots to the political dots. I can connect the political dots to the educational dots, the educational dots to the street dots, because all of it is needed, but you have to have a balance. And if you get with the right people, you mentioned a word called reciprocity. In our culture, there's something called mayat, and there's 7 principles or virtues that you see in our code of conduct: truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, and reciprocity. We shouldn't just be consumers in this day and time. With the influence that we have, with the talent that we have, young sisters knowing how to braid hair, young sisters knowing how to do their nails, but they're going somewhere else to get their nails done.
Absolutely.
You know, we going somewhere else to buy watermelon.
Absolutely.
To buy chicken, like grandmama can't, don't have the best recipe for chicken. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I don't indulge in that, but,
right,
you know, we have to give our children a better outlook that has a vision. There's a scripture. In the last days, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Right.
Your old men shall dream dreams, and your
That's
young
right.
men shall have vision.
That's right.
But our vision has to be guided and directed. And brothers like yourself, and I say this with all respect, man, yourself, Brother Algernon, Brother Tracy, and a few others that have came along in the past year and allowed me to sit with you brothers.
Absolutely.
And get some of that, you know, your brain, man. That's what we need. And I want to be that for the next generation, me and a few others.
I absolutely agree. I mean, if I don't share with someone imparted unto me, then it's useless.
Go ahead.
You know, we touched on a little bit about this whole consumerism or the patronage.
Yes.
Across the United States, African Americans spend $1.2 trillion annually as consumers, and yet our businesses are only generating about $100 billion. So we have about $1 trillion deficit in our community in areas where we patronize daily. You talk about that whole cosmetology industry, where it's very monopolistic at the current time, and we continue to underwrite it. We have to have a frame of reference.
That's right.
You know, they say he, without knowledge, is clearly going to perish. So educating our folks very holistically on a number of issues, I think is critically important in this next millennium, if you will.
Yes, sir.
If not,